Welcome back to Life is why can I say two words? Life is agony. Fine. I had it. I just wanted to say two words, but we've imposed only one word rule on me. So God damn it, Webs, you're stifling my creativity.
Well, the page to see limitations that forces you to be more creative.
I guess.
Well, Swibs is executive meddling.
Like you haven't.
Go ahead, sure.
I mean,
like
Pedro pointed out, the game actually has had a few good sections, everything. Maybe it's gonna get better from here.
So how are we gonna get into the barn?
Well, I guess we'll have to. So yeah, turns out
you gotta go and shoot the lock.
Actually, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, like, I mean, it's not like anyone would hear us. This barn is like in the middle of nowhere.
To be fair, isn't this place like owned by the Prescotts apparently, and that's why we're here?
Yeah.
Wouldn't there maybe be animals in there that would be spooked by a gunshot?
And not only that, but again, like, well, considering that we're assuming that there's stuff hidden here, wouldn't that assume that whoever hid the stuff here comes to check on it? So I guess, to be fair, using a gun probably wouldn't be the best. And also, let's not forget, guys, Chloe is not exactly the best trained person with a gun. Knowing her, she'd probably hit it so that the bullet hit the lock, ricocheted off, and then hit her right in the face.
Indeed.
If not the heart again.
Alright, so basically this barn belongs to the Prescotts, like we said, so, and guess the thing, sure, since you asked, there are no animals inside this barn, whatsoever.
Alright.
There's only hay. Anyway.
Again, like I said,
I still think Jova has the other points covered, though, so...
Yeah.
Alright, so the basic idea is we go over here. Oh, look, birdie, another chance for a photo collectible. There we go.
Just get my good side.
Tweet, tweet.
Alright. So that now that the little birdie is there you go. So let's see, what can we find? Aha! A metal sheet. Let's move it.
And then it's like it turns into King's Quest where it flaps the main character.
No. Is it the gravity? I actually forgot what's the pun for the rocket in King's Quest 1. Actually, it's not the gravity. No, the gravity is
that moves downhill and right.
That's it. The crushing the feet. Yeah, crushing the feet. Thanks, Lips. The gravity of the situation. That's from King's Quest 2.
I will say this, whoever wrote this game certainly is quite rich in all their pop culture references.
That is ancient.
Like I said, Jova, they're trying to be Scott Pilgrim-ish with their quirkiness.
When we were all teens, we spoke only in pop culture references.
No. Ready Player One tried to pull that crap too, and no, I'm sorry, I refuse to accept that premise.
Watch Free Guy instead.
Yeah, watch Free Guy instead.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was great.
Old Prescott clippings.
Where was I? Oh yeah. So yeah, while Chloe which looks in the chest, Max will look for anything. Go on, Jova.
First breaking and entering, and now trespassing.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Mr. Prescott was also into selfies. That's not a selfie, or at least not the traditional type of selfie. Go on.
Also, Jim, to be fair, what you said about Nathan deserving it.
Seriously?
I'm gonna apply it to
Why would you reference Home on the Range?
Go on, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I think the Prescotts as a whole deserve it, because their son's been running around causing havoc and they've done jack shit.
Yep.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Like, with how the game is portraying it, they're bad guys. However, remember, this is supposed to be a more down-to-earth sort of story here. There are still consequences when the good guys technically break the law as well. I mean, and you know what? Again, let me put it like this. The issue is that it's a case of counting two wrongs to try and make a right, essentially. And I'll just say this, Chloe and Max are way in over their heads. Like, again, If they had at
These
least
books
gone
are
through with
used
the
to look
formalities of
ASAPs.
going to the police, but it turns out the police are corrupt,
That's all the men are
I'd be fine with this.
Game, stop referencing works of media that are better than yourself. Well, except for Home on the Range. Home on the Range is...
I was about to say. Well, actually, no. Do we
good old
consider this
days.
better or worse than Disney's Home on the Range?
No, I'll still take this over Home on the Range, because Home on the Range is just...
This is trying to have a point.
So many hairstyles. So few.
Home on the
names.
Range was also technically
mean-
trying. It's just,
Allow me to offer my opinion on that, Jova. I get the feeling what the developers are going for. Okay, you know those books where teenagers solve mysteries.
Oh, you mean so Scooby-Doo?
Not just Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo is inspired by those books to begin with. Like, there's a lot of literature made for teenagers, kids to teenagers, where there's a group of teenagers who solve mysteries. You know, like all that good stuff.
It's like the boxcars. I think the Boxcar Street Kids. Is what
Yeah,
you're
I
thinking
get the
of.
feeling that's what they're going for, Jova. They're going for the whole teenagers solve a big mystery type of thing.
Let me know the second you need any.
Here's the thing. Normally, the protagonists are more likable. Let me put it like this. We're, the good guys that we're quote-unquote rooting for also stole from handicapped kids, so it's hard for me to root for anyone. Well, okay, any of the main characters. anyway.
Jova, to be fair, you can choose not to steal the money.
Chloe.
However, counterpoint, like you said, Chloe clearly does have that
Sidekick at your
intent,
service.
because apparently she won't like you if you say no to stealing from the handicapped.
Yeah,
Up, up and away, Supermax.
Chloe doesn't want a girlfriend, she wants a slave. Alright, moving
In some
on.
cases, a slave that I guess she can kiss and have sex with, assuming that she becomes attracted to Max.
And boom. Moving on.
Now that's puzzle solving.
Yeah, unlike the previous part, yeah, the puzzle solving in this bit goes back to that simple environmentalist one, which again wouldn't be necessarily bad. I mean, remember, Plague Tale also has environmental puzzle solving. The thing is, in Plague Tale, there's more interactivity, so they're overall much more enjoyable. This, on the other hand, yeah, it reverts back to that whole just pick the thing that the game wants you to pick.
Tearing my flesh off. I need to hook this
You know,
up to something
I'll admit,
heavier.
maybe part of why I am down on this part is because, honestly, at this part of the game, I would probably care much more if we were doing this with anyone but Chloe.
Like me and Jove have said. Go on.
No, go on.
Like me and Jove have said before, this game would be so much better if we either cut Chloe or, like Jova said, at the very least make her role smaller, and have instead be Max, a supernatural vigilante, not vigilante, but like someone who has time powers, and she uses those powers to help people, and we go for a case per month type of structure. You know, that would make the game so much more enjoyable and fun. But no, it's all about Chloe. It's all about Chloe this. Also MacGyver, yes, of course, MacGyver. Let's make all the references.
This also goes back to kind of the issue I have with them trespassing on the Prescott stuff. So, yeah, by all means, Nathan is the prime suspect about Rachel here and there. But what if it turns out that he's innocent about that? And may I remind you, we now know that Nathan has his own problems that kind of shaped him to be the kid he is now. Again, not an excuse.
Sorry.
Again, that is not an excuse. But the same goes for Chloe. So, again, why isn't Max at least thinking about trying to, I don't know, make things so that Nathan isn't a crap kid?
I don't know what to tell you, Joe. Anyway, which reminds me, actually, I have yet to verbally say the name of this episode. Episode 4 of Life is Strange is called The Dark Room, and we're about to go into said dark room.
Going into the basement of somebody that we think may or may not have had to do with the disappearance of Rachel unaccompanied. This is a smart idea.
Mm-hmm.
This bunker is so surreal.
So yeah, why would the Prescotts have a bunker under their
So
barn?
we'll need a code.
Anyway, so this puzzle.
First a padlock, then a digicode.
Well, obviously, Max, private property and all. Okay, so if you take a good look at the numbers on the padlock, you can probably guess how to solve this puzzle. Notice how the numbers 2, 4, and 5 are the ones that have clearly been used the most, which means obviously the password involves those 3 numbers. So basically, it's a matter of trying various orders to see which one of those. You only get 3 tries before it locks you out. Again, don't worry, you can just rewind if that happens. So whatever.
Bad code.
Basically,
I
that.
thought it was going to be if you do that, the door blows up.
No.
Again, we're trying to be somewhat down to earth with this game.
Yes, down to earth in a game where you could use time travel powers. An entire town are a bunch of dickheads.
Again, that's the thing. It's not even like the entire town are dicks. Yes, again, it's more a case of we're told that the town are dicks than actually seeing it. Which is, again, another one of my main problems with the game. There are a lot of details that we are just told, oh yeah, no, this is totally how stuff goes. But I don't feel like the game enforces that well. Now, the Blackwell stuff, sure, fine enough. We can maybe infer that the principal is, at the very least, obviously in the sway of the Prescotts here and there for reasons and whatnot. But the town as a whole? No, I don't think we've seen enough. Again, to give Book of Henry credit, we at least saw enough to get why things were supposedly that drastic. Oh, sure, it was dumb, but at least they facilitated it by showing that that's how certain aspects of the world were. Here, again, it just feels like we're told. Maybe they didn't have the budget to show it.
Wrong code.
But it really does make the game feel incomplete in that regard. And it makes it all the more hard for me to sympathize with these two doing a, let's be honest, kind of stupid mission in regards to stuff.
Basically. Yeah, this...
And you know what? Here's the thing. Even by the context of supposedly, oh, but if they go to the police, that would alert the police and then cause them to be corrupt. While there is technically a gameplay limitation, story-wise, there is nothing stopping Max from going back in time to redo stuff over again. Heck, if anything, why is Max not Groundhog Daying this? In the sense where she could... Like, again, for all we know, Max could literally just do what Bill Murray does and go for the absolute best outcome each time.
Let me just say something. Okay, basically, sure, while you were gone, we found that there's a basement under the barn, and there's this, yeah. Basically, sure, episode 4 of Life is Strange is called The Dark Room, and we're about to enter into said dark room. Remember, at the end of every episode, we saw those files with, you know, first Rachel's name.
It was the whole Rachel in the dark room.
Yeah.
Thing.
So, yeah.
Stocked and ready for the apocalypse.
Oh, stocked and ready for the apocalypse. Huh. So basically it's one of those bunkers that people have in case there's some kind of catastrophe or some shit like that.
Oh, you mean like the one that's coming up in like a couple of days?
Which the game seems to again... Okay, yes, I get that the game is technically hinting at it, but again, why is Max not, you know... Okay, maybe she is concerned, but she doesn't act like it, and I get it. Maybe their idea is that Rachel... They need to solve the mystery of Rachel.
So...
But...
Oh, sorry, go
The
ahead.
problem is like, I'm not getting the reasoning that Rachel has anything to do with the story.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Job, I have to read this letter, it's important.
This says it all about Nathan.
Yeah, basically. So basically, this is a letter from Nathan's psychiatrist to Sean Prescott. As Nathan's primary psychiatrist for over 5 years, I feel that I should stop seeing your son as you have disregarded my rather dire and immediate suggestions for his and others' well-being. You know well the extent of Nathan's challenges, but I feel that you refuse to acknowledge the role you play in his mental health. If I do not have your support, I cannot treat Nathan, as it is simple as that. I fear he is becoming even more disconnected from reality, even if he acts in a personal manner. You have ignored my request for a consultation with you and your wife, so I have to assume that you are no longer interested in my services. Regardless, I care about Nathan and I believe he needs serious help. If you would like to talk about this matter, I am always available. Best, Dr. Jacoby. So basically, yeah, the parents don't give a rat's ass about their son, apparently. So, yeah, Nathan just kept spiraling down and down in his mental health, basically.
So,
And the family ignored it.
Is always a bad
And you know what? This could lead to interesting plot potential. Here's the problem. Never will there ever come a chance for you to try and get Nathan the help that he needs. At least not in a way that'll matter for the whole story. Which is frustrating! Again, you want to maybe...
Suspension is a deal breaker.
Again, Max doesn't even try. Maybe if they imply that it is absolutely impossible, sure. I'll read this letter.
Yeah, basically, because of the suspension, Sean Prosper said that you bring shame to the family. I've given you everything you ever wanted, including Blackwell Academy, among the things I shall not mention, but nothing is ever enough for you. You're still my son, and I want us to fulfill our destiny. That day is coming sooner than you think, so be prepared to step into that responsibility. This is my final warning. Sean Prescott.
Oh yeah, got a big destiny and everything for a son that you refuse to get the help he needs.
Yeah,
Again,
Let's see what's
Oh,
here.
goody. Thanks for that,
Oh
Nathan.
my god.
I totally wanted to see this.
No.
So whoever does this really gets off on this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, you don't even know that half of it, Webs.
Is that Kate?
Yeah, that's Kate.
What is going on between Nathan and his father?
So yeah, it seems like we found our culprit, Nathan. I mean, who else would be doing all this crap?
Well, what's a surprise?
Nathan, I've told you never call me using your phone. Stick with the disposable ones I gave you. I don't want you to hear screaming out my name in a public place, which you have stupidly done before. I haven't set out to share my vast wisdom, so you can fuck it up with all your teen rage. Basically, yeah, as you can see...
that note doesn't have who it's from.
So yeah, as you can see, Nathan and Daddy are... You know, they don't get along.
God. No.
And there they are.
Those are the names that we keep seeing at the end of episodes.
Let's see. It's all coming together, Lips.
I don't think Nathan
Let's see what this shit
is
all
the
about.
main culprit.
We
I
are.
think he might be being used for something bigger.
Okay.
Oh, a binder marked Victoria. Looks like Victoria is the next victim. Can we just... Okay, can we turn a blind eye to this new victim? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, fuck the person for doing this to Rachel and Kate. Can we let Victoria, though? Because, come on, she's not even a person. She's a stereotype. I'm
I don't know. That doesn't like warrant, you know, what's probably happening to these people.
Sure. Here's the thing. Yeah, I would agree with you there when it comes to people. But I don't consider Victoria a person. She's a walking, talking cartoon because the writers of this game forgot to give her a personality.
She would have cash to do this. She probably would have.
I don't think so. Why is he putting her in the ground like that? Where?
The junkyard. Max, we have to find that spot now. Then we can see what he did. There's no way she's dead. No way. She posed for those pictures, Max. I know it. Please, let's go.
Yeah. So yeah, here's what...
Picture is framed.
See are the Rachel's photos, yeah.
Rachel is awake and fucking furious. Rachel is passed out and she has something in her mouth. What happened to her? This shot is so staged. I can't believe it's real. I can't.
Okay.
So yeah, the plot thickens.
Kate looks so doped up. She has no idea she's being posed. At least.
So not only did Nate drug her, he brought her here to take pictures?
These newspapers are all about Rachel and Kate.
Okay. So, alright. And there's also a bottle.
Somebody likes their whiskey.
I mean, they left their phone there, so...
Wait,
So
they did?
who's using this
What was
fancy
it?
Yeah,
What?
a bit earlier, there was those devices where you plug your phones into them. It looks like their phone was left in there.
Oh, was it?
I don't
Never
think
seen
the actual
so much
phone was
pricey
plugged there,
equipment
Dibs. That may have just been the charging device you saw.
Well, Devs, I can tell you that if it is, the game definitely doesn't allow us to investigate it. Sorry.
Apocalypse Entertainment System.
An Apocalypse Entertainment System. Is that going to be the name of the Switch's follow-up? The Apocalypse Entertainment System.
Needles.
Yes.
Gross.
Yeah.
That would have made sense a couple of years
Must
ago.
be the crap
But
that Nathan gets from Frank.
I kind of feel
That's
like
an original
because
signed illustration.
well, that's gross. Anyway, I know art is subjective, but it's gross. I kind of feel like just tacking this onto what I said earlier. It's like the family is going to use their son's mental health to pin all this stuff that's happening on him in the long run.
Well, for now, Chloe wants to go to the junkyard just to make sure that Rachel is not there, because if Rachel is there, yeah, you probably already know what's happened to her.
Leave the safe open. They did, didn't they?
I'm sorry, Debs, could you repeat?
Slow down.
Did they leave the safe open?
I know
Uh,
where you're going.
I don't know, actually.
It's like
Hopefully
that
they
bit in the
both-
first Professor Layton game where
Oh my
me and
God,
Jover
wait.
came up with that Luke forgot to close the safe door, and the thing of if one thing
gonna
leaves,
help
the
me,
entire town freezes up.
Keep in mind, they've left the binders
Hold
out
on.
on the desk.
Okay, how can you dig through... Okay,
Please no.
don't get me wrong, you can dig with hands, but it won't be that fast, but whatever.
Maybe it's just mud. Like there
smell.
isn't like.
Rachel.
And there you go, Rachel has been killed and buried in here. See, this would be the point where Rachel would be used as a... Okay, it's not so much that you feel bad for Rachel's death, it's more so you would feel bad for Chloe because, you know, Chloe loved Rachel so much. Again, this is the big problem. Because the game absolutely failed miserably to make us care for Chloe, this scene falls completely flat on its ass.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you can play before the storm.
I can. It's a crap game, but yeah, I can, I guess.
And apparently it doesn't make Rachel look any good either, so...
No. Well, okay, to be fair,
Again,
even the developers themselves admitted in the behind-the-scenes videos that they wanted to make Rachel a not necessarily good person. You know, they wanted to make because... Oh,
basically,
what the fuck is up with this dough?
there's the deer.
But why though? What does the dough mean? This is literally the director. Hey Dwebs. This is literally the director's going, ask me what it means. Ask me what it means.
I won't lie. When I first experienced this game, my theory was that the dough is actually Rachel's ghost.
And for the record, the game will never explain what the hell that dough is and what it means. It just shows up here and there, and that's it.
I'm wondering if they were gonna have a scene where it's revealed that dough is Rachel's ghost, and that just never got.
Yeah, that's actually a lot of the primary fan theory in the community, from what I've seen, Jove, is that it is Rachel's spirit animal thing. But again, that's just speculation. Like,
We were right to the cops. We have proof.
thank you, Max. Can we please do?
Rachel wanted us to find her, so we could get
Holy
justice
no!
Find real
Okay.
and
justice.
revenge.
Again,
Okay.
the police
Prescott's
probably
have had this
won't
coming
do
for 100
anything,
years,
but
and nobody is gonna
just
get in my
go
way.
there to say that you at
Especially
least
with your help.
did.
Right?
Okay. Here's the thing: if they didn't have
with you to the
evidence,
end.
we could maybe argue that the police
You
would
know
do
that.
nothing. But no, they have legit rock solid evidence right now. Even if the police were supposedly owned by the Prescotts, like no, the Prescotts would have to be running like the ultimate like control here for them to get away with that. Especially since now there's a body. Like no way is that getting hidden now.
In the meantime, Taylor has got herself a boyfriend apparently. Good for her.
Jesus, Chloe, look up at the sky. Beautiful. I don't give a
Two
shit.
moons.
Dun, dun,
Something major is going down. That's right.
In the meantime,
Oh, yeah.
I did look up to see if, the name Rachel has any kind of association with the animal deer, but no, nothing.
It's a fan theory, she wrote. It's not official, so.
Glad you decided to ask.
No, I mean like in general, because
Ah, okay.
sometimes you do have names associated with animals for one reason or another.
Okay,
But
sure.
I couldn't find anything.
Sure.
He's dangerous.
Where is he?
I didn't see him at the dorm again. I was held up in my room.
Dude,
Oh.
have you been drinking?
Well, if you consider half a beer drinking.
So this was your first, wasn't it,
Hey.
Warren?
Oh, you lightweight.
I know this is a bad time.
That
but
or yeah,
can I
he's
get
a little
one
tolerant.
picture? I've been feeling like this might be actually the end of the world, so I want to have something for prosperity.
Oh, you're one of those drunks.
I don't blame you, Warren.
Can there really be much
know.
prosperity
Damn,
if the world's
Bodhi.
been blown up?
Just one picture.
Action.
We've got no time for this shit. Come on, Max.
Oh yeah, sorry,
I mean, she's kinda right.
sorry. Even still though, like I'm just so
No,
tired.
no, no, I'm sorry. Chloe is not in her right of mind on this one.
I was
And
always wondering
again,
why I asked.
here's the problem.
Hey,
Like, no,
we
we
still need
needed
your
to actually get a
expert
scene of the cops
If you see
actually
anything, text me
being corrupt.
immediately, okay? And do not let
Like,
him see you.
no, you can't just say, "Oh, the cops are corrupt," and
I
now
know
let's
how to
just
be
go with it.
invisible here.
Especially given
Not
the
too
lengths
many.
they're going to with this, and
Text
given
him.
what Chloe has in mind, Shiroy, I think she might get put away for that.
Keep
Oh, yeah.
keep in mind what Jova just said, because yeah, he's gonna get proven right by the end of this. So yeah,
Again,
Welcome
I
to the
think
Vortex
problem
Club
with this story is
party.
like, well, see, this story's issue is that it really tries to go at your heart with the big and dramatic things, but there is little to no rhyme or reason. On one hand, yeah, some could argue, well, you wouldn't be in your right mind if all this stuff happened to you. Fair enough. It's just that, more often than not, the plot is way too nonsensical for its own good, to the point where, look, one leap in logic, sure. Two, fine. This game has way too many leaps in logic for me to just settle down on. Because, again, the only thing supernatural about this is supposed to be Max's time-traveling powers and the upcoming apocalypse. Everything else is supposed to be realistic, which was kind of the grab of this game. You know, it could speak to teenagers who were in a college or high school setting to that regard here and there.
I honestly still, and this is not an attempt to try to be insultive with it, because we all were dumb teenagers at some point. That's just part of life. I genuinely, the more I play of this game, the more I strongly believe that it boils, the basic audience of this game boils down to this. Dumb teenagers who played this game back in their high school days, back before their critical thinking skills were fully developed. And they related to this game because this game basically spoke to them. It basically appealed to that cringy, dorky side that we all have, you know, especially when you're a high schooler.
I wouldn't go so far as to say it's dumb teenagers, because to their credit, the overall consensus of this game has definitely shifted to the negative. Here's my take on it. I'm definitely going to take that, like, well, this was one of the first games to actually have this kind of somewhat mundane teenager sort of setting here, because oddly enough, before this game, I can't think of many games that really had you as a teenager in an overall mundane setting, except for, say, games like Bully or something. But so, I mean, now that we have more games that can be more down to earth like this, the bar has definitely risen. I do get the feeling that for back then, this was technically raising the bar on this very, very specific niche, but a niche nonetheless, and one that ended up paying off in the long run. The problem was that as soon as Don't Nod moved on to Life is Strange 2, they tried taking on a different niche. And by that point, it was kind of exposed. Like, remind me, Pedro, what year did Life is Strange 2 come out?
2018. Well, it went from 2018, and the final episode came out in 2019. From 2018 to 2019, basically.
Right, yeah. It was trying to be political for all the good reasons. And
Jova,
Look.
Jova. Everything is political, Jova. I'm not kidding. That's a line from the game, by the way. She right.
Yeah. I'm tempted to check out Manga Common's video on that.
Check the video
What
that I
else to
sent
say?
you. That's my favorite video about Life is Strange 2. Check the one that I sent you.
Isn't that the manga common one?
No, that's it's a one made by an unknown YouTuber who only this year started making videos, but his Life is Strange 2 video is really made him really popular. And it's a really funny review, and pretty much mirrors almost 1-to-1 what I think of the game.
Regardless, here's my point. Whereas Life is Strange 1 was tackling a relative niche of plot, which I could get attracting a lot of people since back then this was not as common. Life is Strange 2 goes into way more familiar territory and not necessarily to its benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So by then, like, any pretense of them being these ambitious and grand writers kind of disappeared to ambitious but very incompetent. And that's probably one of the nicer opinions people have of them ever since Life is Strange 2 came out. Like, seriously, talk about a fall from grace.
Basically. No, well, again, keep in mind, let me use an example before we close this. I'm sure we've all had a movie or a TV show or a game or whatever that we all really loved as kids, but when we watch it or play it now, we think, oh my god, I was such a dumb little kid because this is, and we look back on this thing and it's so terrible, right? Like, we all have those things. We all have those. We all have those things that we enjoy before our critical thinking skills are fully developed. You know, that's what I mean when I say dumb teenagers. We all were dumb. I was a dumb teenager. We all were.
Now, keep in mind, some people have gone on as far to say that this game saved their lives back in the day because it spoke to them that much. So, it really is one of those things that really just got worse with age.
Yeah, that actually, believe it or not, Shiroi, according to the directors, they got fan letters from kids who were suffering with depression, and the whole thing with Kate helped them through it. Cool. Don't get me wrong. That's cool. It's just
you
that
can find motivation from very unusual places. Heck, I've even come across stories where, of all things, 13 actually helped a person.
Yeah, it's like.
Oh wait, Final Fantasy 13?
Yes, I think just the first one specifically. I don't think the person specified, but yeah.
It's like it's one of those things. It's one of those things where it's just like the problem with this game is that if you apply any amount of critical thinking to this game's plot, it falls apart very easily because the dialogue is bad, like Dibs has pointed out various times. The plot, like Jova said, is very, very poorly constructed, and the characters are in a problem where the side characters that the game barely pays attention to are far more interesting than our two main leads. That's a problem.
I love how we each have our own specific problem that we all focus on. I focus on the dialogue, Dover focuses on the characters, especially Chloe.
And the plot.
And
mainly the plot.
Also, I think it's Pedro that's more into the plot, and Shiori, Shiori's the funny, snarky person.
If you want something specific, it's the ableism that's fucking laced everywhere in this game.
Yeah.
And honestly, Dibs, you could apply the having a bone for Chloe thing to arguably me, Pedro, and Shiori. Let's not forget, Pedro was the one who got us like an over hour-long video because he had to add an extra rant on Chloe because she is just that bad.
But yeah,
like, I mean, let me put it this: when it comes to being
that was a
annoyed
pretty personal rant, though, because of the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, though, my point is like, I'm far from being the only one who really has a bone to pick with Chloe as a character.
Here's what you do, Dibs. I recommend you take a look at Yurik Salad Bar's video. That's a really good video. It's actually very popular among people who talk about this game. I'm trying to think of another one. Okay. Really quick, don't worry. I know this part is going on for long and easy, but just one more thing to add what Jova just said, and to allow for another video that brings in a different perspective from a guy who, this is a review made by, go to YouTube and search, Life is Strange True Colors is a mediocre disappointment. What the guy says is basically, he's 25 right now. And he's making, and he says that in his video, so, but he played the first Life is Strange when he was about to enter college. basically the same age as these characters. And he said that, and he fully admits that Life is Strange 1 is terribly executed. That looks like shit. The characters make me puke. These are his words, not mine, and all that stuff. But to him, he has this thing where when he revisited the game for that video he made, whenever he's walking around Blackwell Academy in Arcadia Bay, he feels this sense of nostalgia. It really reminds him of that time when he first played it and all that stuff. Again, that's the feeling I get from a lot of these people these people played Life is Strange at the right time, back when this game spoke to them on the right age length. Whereas, go on.
I was just gonna say, should we wrap up the part?
Okay. Let me just cap up with this comparison. Let's imagine, say, something like Sonic Forces was like the only platformer at a certain time. Then people would probably have liked it better than they do nowadays, because obviously there's better stuff to compare it to. Think of Life is Strange like that. Like, for the type of game it was at the very least a very rare type compared to nowadays when we have more plentiful and better games than this. It's like Pedro said, Life is Strange really did come out at the right time for it to gain all that popularity. The problem is that as soon as the developers went outside that niche, they dropped the ball hard.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It really is one of those things, because every time I hear someone defend this game, they just bring up the ideas and describe the plot in very vague terms, but they never go into the nitty-gritty meat of it. Because and I understand why, because if you try to dissect this game, the cracks immediately show. That's the problem.
They really do.
Anyway, we've gone on for long enough, so for the sake of this, everybody, see you for the next part.
Ta-ta!